Thanks for tuning into the BoshNRoll channel. Liking and subscribing the channel is free and easy, and it helps me out a lot. If you want to go a little farther with your support, I have Patreon and YouTube membership available, which includes access to the BoshNRoll Discord server, early access to things I'm working on, sideboard plans, cards I'm buying. You could have me play your deck on the channel, and the highest tiers come with individual coaching sessions. If you use the YouTube membership option, you get sweet, unique YouTube badges and emotes for the channel. If you want to play what I'm playing, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support my channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com. And if you're playing on Magic Online, a cardhoarder.com loan account can let you play any deck anytime. If you want to wear your support, there is BoshNRoll merch available. All of these links are in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome back to another BoshNRoll Legacy video. Today I am playing CAW BLADE, which is a standard classic. This is a standard deck that got cards banned for the first time in almost a decade. Stoneforge Mystic and Jace the Mind Sculptor both ended up getting banned out of that standard format during World Wake, and this deck is the legacy version of that. This deck brought to you by King of the Depths through Patreon. Patreon sub asked me to play the deck. The deck itself is from Marcus Ewald, aka I Would Like to Respond, aka @Truckus on Twitter. He is a person who I've talked about building blue-white control decks with many times in the past. He's very good at it. And I actually ran into Marcus playing this deck in a queue not that long ago. I'm pretty stoked that I get to try it myself. The core of this deck looks like every other Legacy Blue deck. Brainstorm, Ponder, Swords to Plowshares, got some Snapcaster Mage, Jace to Fairy, and Hull Breacher in the mix on this one, plus 4 Prismatic Ending. Love it, this card is so good. 4 Plow, 4 Prismatic Ending. The plan is clear here. Remove all of the creatures. Then we have Snapcaster Mage to do it all again. Where this deck diverges from normal Legacy deck construction is Squadron Hawk. This card, 1 in a white, 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 3 cards named Squadron Hawk, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle. Back in the standard format, this card was a 2-mana draw 3, basically, and all of the things you drew were 1/1s. In Legacy, it gets a lot more interesting than that, because you can Squadron Hawk, put 3 other Hawks in your hand, Brainstorm, put 2 Hawks back, cast the Hawk that's still in your hand, get those 2 Hawks back. It turns Brainstorm into just straight up Ancestral Recall with a little bit of extra work. It's also a shuffle. If you're not putting Hawks back, it's another way to shuffle a Brainstorm or a Ponder. It's just very cool the way it interacts with all these other cards. Jace the Mind Sculptor does a similar thing. That interaction did exist in Standard. It would just cost 4 instead of 1. And of course, the win condition is Stoneforge Mystic. We have an Umezawa's Jitte and a Batterskull in the main deck, and then a Cauldron Complete in the sideboard. There's no Sword of Fire and Ice in this list, and no other swords. I'm going to trust Marcus on that one. I don't have the reps in with this deck that he does, so I'm going to just trust his judgment on what weapons are available. As far as the sideboard, this is just normal Jeskai control stuff. This is a blue-white deck with a red splash. It's not full Jeskai, so we just have red in the main deck to get Prismatic Ending up to 3. And then in the sideboard, because we're playing red anyway, just a pile of Pyroblast. This card is so good in Blue Mirrors that it's definitely worth stretching your mana to do. That's a tried and true Legacy strategy. The rest of this stuff is pretty normal. Flusterstorm, Deafening Silence, and Containment Priest help against combo. Back to Basics helps against the lands and 12 post kind of matchups. We have Wasteland in the main deck, which is a nice one. That gives you a little bit of insulation against that sort of deck in the main. And that's the deck. Here it is. Let's go play some CAW BLADE. I'm on the draw in round number 1. And this hand has a removal spell into a threat, but it doesn't have any cantrips or counter spells. I think I'm going to keep it. I'm going to have faith in the deck here. And if I get dumpstered by combo, I get dumpstered by combo. If he dies, he dies. Prismatic Vista into Ponder could be Show and Tell, or it could be a fair blue deck. And I hope it's a fair blue deck, because that's the matchup that my hand is ready to play. Didn't need another one of those. Land go. At least hitting my land drops and representing 7 cards in hand gives a combo player some pause, if they are combo. If they just jam Uro here, that's a different story. But I guess Omnishow could also have Uro in it. That's a thing. Yikes. Alright, I'm going to have to end that. And they could still be Omnishow, just the blue-white version. Okay, Brainstorm. Right on time. Or something. I think I do want to Brainstorm here and play Stoneforge Mystic, and then I can deal with Teferi in the future. Force of Will, not exciting. I'm going to put back 2 lands, and then I'm going to cast Stoneforge Mystic off of Tundra and Volcanic Island. I don't want to cast Squadron Hawk here because I already have 7 cards in my hand, and I would just have to discard any extra Hawks I find. Mystic resolved. I'm going to get the Batterskull. So I have a sneaking suspicion we're about to get Omni-showed. Oh, they're Bant. Maybe they are just a Bant deck. We'll find out. Okay, I'm starting to think this is a fair deck. I don't think that the third color, I think the show and tell decks are blue-white or blue-green, but not both. I could just put Hull Breacher into play, but I think I'd rather deal with the Teferi first. I think I should have let on Caracas. If I play Squadron Hawk, that puts creatures on the board, and I can still hold on to the ending, though this ending is really good because Hull Breacher doesn't function particularly well when I can't play it as an instant, and this Force of Will in my hand is currently dead. Okay, so that was worth 2 cards to them. I like that, I guess. The cool thing about being a tap-out creature deck is that, for the most part, I'm not really shut down by Teferi. This isn't like Bant Flash, where that's actually just a complete nightmare. It's just kind of a nightmare. It's a medium nightmare. Jace the Mind Sculptor. That does not help me against this Narset that's happening. So I'm going to Caracas, Hawk. I can search for all 3 Hawks, go up to 8 cards in hand, and play a second Hawk. And if they counter this Hawk, I can play Hull Breacher. Ponder in response with the help of Teferi. Squadron Hawk does not draw cards, it puts them directly into my hand. That's good stuff. The Hawks are in my hand now, and play another one. 7 cards in my hand. I now have pressure for the Planeswalkers. If they Terminus me, I can Hawk the ones they put on the bottom back into the hand with the ones that are still in the hand. I'm starting to turn the corner into Uro, but I have the Caracas for that. Plus Teferi, minus Narset. Found a Brainstorm. I think I'm just going to attack Narset with both of these. I want to make sure she's dead so I can jam the Jace and start pulling ahead. Really wish I could cast Instants and pressure this Brainstorm in their hand. But I cannot, alas. Yep. There's where Hull Breacher ends the game, but Teferi is doing work. Narset's dead. They have the Teferi ready to bounce a Batterskull or a Hull Breacher. I could just move on the Jace. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could Jace and Hawk. But if I'm going to do both, I should fetch first. I'm going to diversify my basics. I would hate to get caught pants down to back to basics when my deck can totally play around it. Here's Jace on the stack. Another Brainstorm in response. They're digging for Force of Will. I mean, I'll take a 2-for-1 here. I'd rather have Jace, but I will also take a 2-for-1 on Force of Will here. I actually forgot that I killed Narset and probably should have Brainstormed before I fetched, in case this Jace resolves. Alright, it didn't. No worries. Deploy the 3rd Hawk. I'm not going to deploy the 4th because I want that one to reset in case I get Terminus. But these 3 can do some work on the Teferi. Alright, another Narset. I can pressure that some more. Towards the Plowshares, you got it, fella. Plus their Teferi. Abundant Harvest. Looking for a Hull Breacher. Uh-oh. Now I'm in trouble. Because if their Hull Breacher gets to resolve, if they do have the combo, that's bad for me. I'm just going to put all 3 on Narset. Spent a plow on that. That is good. that clears the plow for Hull Breacher. The Teferi can just bounce Breacher, but having Breacher in play is worth a lot. There's you. Brainstorming in response. Yeah, that is the correct time to do that. I don't really want to expose my last Hawk to a Terminus, so I won't. And there is an argument to get more power on the board because clearing these Planeswalkers is pretty important, but at the same time, I don't want to give up my grindy game. And if they have the Days Undoing here, we're just dead. Okay. Are we dead? Probably. I guess I have to play it out. Oh. Did you find a Force of Will? I guess you just need Source of Plowshares. They have a lot of mana right now. I'm gonna attack Narset with both. Let's make sure the thing dies that I can get rid of. Yeah, that's a good plow. And another plow. Alright. Now I believe you. Alright, turned out that Teferi was pretty good going long, though this matchup is definitely one where Red Blast completely flips the script. Every important thing they do is blue. Red Blast, Flusterstorm coming in. They're a white deck with both Teferi and Plow, so I don't think Cauldron Complete adds anything that the deck is missing. Plow is good, Ending's good. I think Force is less good. Like, I'm bringing in 5 1-for-1 counter spells. I think I can cut all my 2-for-1 counter spells. Having my own Teferi is nice. I could go lower on Stoneforge Mystic, but I do have to win this game somehow. Snapcaster Mage is pretty important to decks like this. I actually love the Hull Breacher, knowing that they're a Days Undoing deck, being able to like flash it in and also undo the day. Like, I'll live in a world where we're both Hellbent and we have a bunch of mana. I don't know. Maybe I don't need all 4 Stoneforges. There's only 2 equipment to search for, and these games are going to go long. I just have to make room for one more card here. Prismatic Ending might be worse. Now that I've seen that their deck has a lot of flash threats and they're willing to aggressively counter endings for 3 on Planeswalkers, and I have the Red Blast that can answer most of their problem permanents. Okay, I actually like that better. I'll keep my Stoneforge in. On the play in the second game, I've got the basic mountain is not great. The Stoneforge Mystic is great. I think I can keep this and just jam Stoneforges onto the stack, see what happens. Lead on my Scalding Tarn in case I want to Flusterstorm something this turn. Don't think I would fire off Fluster on a Ponder right away. Ooh, that's interesting. I am going to Fluster this. If they're going to play a low land count and count on Abundant Harvest to hit them, I want to punish that. You want to lead on Basic Forest against me and try to play this game? Get it out. That might have been a huge spew, but I don't think I counter Ponder there, but Abundant Harvest does change my information enough that I like it. I get to hide my red mana a little longer. Big fan of that. Batterskull's in the grip. Let's go. And next turn I can Brainstorm and Stoneforge to shuffle if I want to do that, or just 3 turns down the line. At any point where I'm ready to Brainstorm plus shuffle, Stoneforge can do that. No blue mana over there. Okay, now's a good time for it. So Brainstorm, put back the Batterskull, and with having the 4th land rolled up with Jace is nice. And I'm going to put back Batterskull and one of the Mystics. And then I'm going to cast the other Mystic and get that Batterskull back. That's Stoneforge Mystic 101 for you. Just search for the same Batterskull multiple times. Card advantage along the way. Shuffle your Brainstorm. Draw an extra card out of the deal. Good stuff. Alright, they did have 3 lands after all. They can, like, Teferi, bounce my Stoneforge. And I can just play Stoneforge, get another card. I do have a lot of instants in my hand right now for the type of game that we're playing. At what point do I need to answer Teferi? That's the real question here. I think I get another turn with Stoneforge first. I'm going to make them keep answering that. And if they spend a counterspell on this, then I get to fire off Red Blast on Teferi. and untap Jace with Flusterstorm backup. Jitte's in my hand. I can't cast instants anyway, might as well use my mana. They need 6 mana to combo me out. Like, they could set up a line here where they protect Teferi for a turn, and then end step Hullbreacher, untap Days Undoing, all with protection. So I want to respect the possibility of that line. Ended my thing. I think I Red Blast first, so I know if I have to plan for Teferi being in play or not. Okay, they spent their Force pitching Spell Pierce on that, so it's time to jam Jace. Jace is on the stack, Jace is in play, brainstorming. Alright, in answer to their Hullbreacher plus one of my own, that's all good stuff. Didn't find another Red Blast, which is kind of a bummer, but I have Jace in play now. It's worth a lot. I cannot brainstorm with Jace again because they could have Hullbreacher. I can shuffle away this Batterskull on top of my deck. It's actually pretty dangerous. I can cast my Hullbreacher and then cast Ponder. Yeah, if I cast my Breacher, then they have to spend mana to do something about this, and they don't just get to jam their own. I'll Ponder. See if this is juicy enough for them to commit their Hullbreacher. Doesn't seem like it. I'm gonna shuffle that. And plus target. I really can't brainstorm with Jace here. It's not an option. Plus target them. I'm gonna let them have Ponder. It's just not very good here. Again, Teferi's still in play, so might as well spend my mana. Told you. If they have the Days Undoing, I'm just wrecked here. They had to spend their Teferi to do this. Or to remove my Breacher. Did I tap out a Flusterstorm like a fool? Oh my god. I guess I didn't consider that. Alright, that was pretty bad. Yeah, I guess I didn't really need to equip Jitte at all. Yeah, I have certainly lost this game at this point. Yeah, if I just leave my mana up, I guess I know that they only have the 3 lands and they don't have another land drop, and the only way they can remove my thing is with Teferi. Yeah, that was questionable. Alright, I'm willing to believe it. I can see how that lined up poorly for me. Equipping my Stoneforge Mystic. I'm gonna do what I can, where I can. Though they do just get 7 mana and draw 7 while mind twisting me. They have a Brainstorm on top of the 7 cards they just drew. Prismatic Ending. Alright. I'm ready to concede this one. We're done. I missed a heads up play, which is I know they don't have a land. I just plus them with Jace. I know they're not drawing another land. I know the Days Undoing costs 3. I knew so much in that situation. I knew enough that it was reasonable to figure out that leaving up mana for Flusterstorm in case they spend their Teferi was a good play. So I messed that one up by not considering all of the available information. Whoops. All right, next round. Round number 2, Island Ponder. We keep those. Buy a shirt. A basic forest. Okay, it's the post deck. Glad I put that back to basics in the sideboard. Also glad that I have Wasteland in my hand. There is a small chance here, but this game 1 at least is going to be a complete nightmare. Game 2, we have something we can dig for at least. I like the Brainstorm, I like the Squadron Hawk. I don't want the Prismatic Ending, probably, is how I see this matchup playing out. Ooh, maybe I did want Prismatic Ending. Bummer. Oh, I don't have white mana anyway, but it would have been great to end the map and waste them. Can I give them even a turn with Cloud Post? They could have crop rotation to play around Wasteland here. They also might not. Alright, I'm gonna make the play that's here. Right here on the board. Wish I had Counterspell backup for this crop rotation. Alright, they just didn't have counter. The crop rotation. I'll take it. They play another Cloud Post? Nope. I was about to say maybe Prismatic Ending could find a target in the Expedition map, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. Time to dig for more Wastelands. It's a lot of Stoneforge Mystics. I'm not mad about that. I can get rid of basic planes and probably the prismatic ending. I don't think that's going to help much. And I'm going to get a Tundra and Ponder here. I'm looking for Force of Will, just buying any amount of time. Well, I don't need those. They're functionally already in my hand. If I could find a Force to buy a little bit of time to dig for more wastelands, that's what I'm looking for here. They did, in fact, look up for a Cloud Post. No surprise there. If I can find Wasteland right now before they can copy it, then maybe I can keep them from going super deep. But if they can get even one Cloud Post to stick through the Wasteland barrage, then I'm in trouble. There's the Cloud Post. Come on, Wasteland, right off the top. Give it to me. I need it. Okay, Force of Will, not quite what I was looking for. I could Stoneforge Mystic and start trying to win this game. I could Snapcaster for Ponder, but I can Snap for Ponder next turn just as well. Yeah, I'm going to Stoneforge here. And I'm going to save my fetch land in case I want to shuffle after the Ponder. I would have to use my land drop in order to cast the Ponder. Next turn I can Snap Ponder looking for Wasteland and still have my land drop. And I did pick up a Force of Will along the way to at least keep the first stupid thing from happening. Not going to counter a Once Upon a Time. Glimmer Post. Okay, so the Cloud Post will tap for 2 with Glimmer Post. Ooh, Vasuva. Gross. Yeah, now they just... That's what I was talking about. You get like one window to remove the Cloud Post, and then they suddenly have 3 of them. Like they have this one now, and then they can copy another one with Stage. It's just a bad time all around. Ooh. I don't think it is reasonable to try to overpower this with Jace. I could do the Snap Ponder thing. I could just get off that. I could jam Jace. So if they play Ulamog this turn, then that's bad business. Squadron Hawk can only get one more Squadron Hawk, but that's still card advantage. Like if I cast Hawk, look for 1 Hawk, and then leave up, put in Batterskull with Force backup, we can all feel me losing this game. Quickly and surely. My opponent said in the chat, wow, haven't seen that since Standard. That's right, we're playing World Wake Standard. Copy their Cloud Post. They now have 10 mana in play. When they play this Glimmer Post, they'll have 12, 13, 14 mana in play. It escalates very quickly, and they have 7 cards in hand, so it's not like I could Force of Will 1 play and then keep them off another play with Jace forever. This matchup, you desperately, desperately need access to back to basics to have any real chance in a long game. There's the Glimmer Post. They can't quite cast Emrakul, but they're very close. Yep, Ulamog. Guaranteed. That's why I didn't tap out for the Jace. Let's see if they just go after 2 lands, or do they think that the Stoneforge Mystic's important? I think they should just hit 2 lands, honestly. Shit, they know how to do this. We'll get another Tundra. Put in Batterskull. And I'm going to have to force this Ulamog, unfortunately. I don't have a plow in my hand. And I think I'm going to force pitching Jace, because I'm now never casting that card at all. And Ramaneb Excavator. Cool. So now Wasteland doesn't even do anything, and they're at 24. This one's not looking good, squad. I can Teferi this thing. Well, I'm out of lands to fetch. I guess I Teferi, bounce Ramaneb, attack for 6, and hope to somehow still be alive 4 turns later. Desperate, horrible magic. Emrakul, funnily enough, also from the same standard format as Squadron Hawk and Jace and Stoneforge Mystic. All these cards existed in the same standard format. Snapcaster Mage wasn't quite there yet. Batterskull was there. So, all of these cards, good friends from long ago. Just elbow tapping 15. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gross. Okay, back to basics. Right in the deck. Cauldron complete. I need to get these games over quickly. Bluster Storm, I think, might have an argument. Actually, because I have Wasteland, maybe Surgical is good. If I can Wasteland Surgical Cloud Post, that might be a thing. that's also kind of cheesy and like not in a good way. I generally think that that plan is bad, but I think that this matchup is bad enough that you have to lean into the cheese a little. What is not as good? I think Plow is actually good. Hull Breacher's not good because they don't really draw cards. It's a flash threat, but I think that I need to get the game over a whole lot faster than that. If I can get them under back to basics, Jace can win the game, so that's a consideration. Is Hull Breacher better than Teferi? Teferi turns off crop rotation at least, and Force of Vigor, and Endurance. Or at least the surprise version of Endurance. Okay. This deck, I almost hit submit, then remembered that this deck might have, like, spheres. I don't know how this deck is built right now, honestly. The Cloudpost Shell could have a bunch of, like, Sphere of Resistance and Trinispheres and stuff after board. They could also just not have any of that. And alright, I'm going down to 3 Squadron Hawks because 1-1 beatdown is not how I'm going to win this game. And I think I can shave it to Teferi also and leave room for 2 Prismatic Ending, which might be bad and useless, but it might clip an important sideboard card, so I'm just going to diversify what my deck is capable of doing going into this game with unknown information. Okay, Stoneforge Mystic, Force Backup, Wasteland. I'm keeping this. I'm gonna just turbo out a Cauldron here. That's plan A, B, and C. Pretty sure I want to Ponder and not leave up Flusterstorm for any reason. Ponder, finding the 3rd land, and Teferi and Brainstorm. Okay. I'll put Brainstorm in my hand. I'm going to draw the land, then Teferi will be shuffled away by my Stoneforge Mystic. Ooh, the World Tree. That's scary. I'm not going to read all the words on that card. I just hope they don't matter. That's how I'm approaching that one. Basic island here. I'm going to search up Cauldron. I'm going to wasteland them next turn and make Cauldron, and I have Force Fluster backup for a couple turns here. That is the whole plan. This Cauldron has to deal 20, and it's got to do it quickly. Alright, time to actually read this. Tap for a green. As long as you have 6 or more lands you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and then double Wooburg. Sacrifice the World Tree, search a library for any number of gods, and put them onto the battlefield. Okay, that seems like flavor text. Is this a god deck? Is this god tribal? I don't actually know. Alright, kind of a tight spot here. I could jam the Cauldron into play. I could also Prismatic Ending this thing and Wasteland them, and hold up Flusterstorm or Brainstorm for a turn, and then Cauldron them next turn, and hope that this is worth stunting the development. And I actually think that it is. I could also do one or the other. I could Wasteland them, put in Cauldron, and deal with Elvish Reclaimer next turn. But then they might already have a Cloud Post. I think that's okay. Alright. I've changed my mind. Cooler heads prevailed. I'm gonna waste them, Cauldron them. I can Prismatic End their elf next turn. They'll probably get a Cloud Post for their trouble, but if they play a land that comes into play tapped, then they can't activate their elf this turn. This also unlocks Brainstorming next turn to try to find more wastelands. Okay, just a Glimmer. Awkwardly, Glimmer Post does add an entire turn to my clock. This Cauldron attacks in multiples of 5. Time for a Brainstorm. Yuck. Put back some of these excess lands. Then fetch. Prismatic Ending this thing. It's bad enough they get to activate it once. I can't give them 2 or 3 or 4 activations. Gotta go. Stifle. Not a card I play, unfortunately. I believe that pondering, looking for Wasteland, will do more for me than holding up Flusterstorm, so that's what I'm going to do. And Stoneforge Mystic attack gets them back onto the 3-turn clock. But we are starting to run out of juice here. Please don't play anything important. Rex Sage. Okay, that has no targets. That is an indestructible permanent. Pew 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 pew. I mean, that is a permanent in play. It can block Stoneforge Mystic, but it's not great. I think Snap Ponder looking for Wasteland is the play here. I'm going to cast Ponder, not Brainstorm, because I'm looking for a specific card, and Ponder gets 4 looks, Brainstorm only gets 3. Ponder, Squadron Hawk. Nope, shuffle that. Send it. Okay, they're dead next turn. I have Force of Will. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 mana. I have Force and Flusterstorm, actually. So hoping for the best here. Come on, Cheese Factory. Map. I don't think I can force that. What if they have Glacial Chasm? And that's going to cost them a land. Because they could get Glimmer Post, go to 8, but I'm attacking for 8. And they have to spend 2 more mana to activate the map. I don't think that's what they were looking for. They are mapping. Do they have a Glacial Chasm? Even if they do, it only buys them 1 turn and costs them a land along the way. If their plan is to like Glacial Chasm this turn and then crop rotation Glacial Chasm into a Cloud Post on the following turn, that doesn't actually work because they only have 1 green source. If they play Glacial Chasm, they have to sack a Cloud Post or sack their way to crop rotate. Also, I think if they had crop rotation, they would just cast it for the chasm, not search for it now. They would probably get a post now and then crop rotate in combat and hope I don't have a counterspell. Or they just have some crazy shit that I don't even know about. It is Glimmer Post. They go to 8. Their 8 is the amount of damage I'm currently attacking for, so that's okay. Zenith for 1. No. No blockers. Die for Xaxes, please. Alright, they're out of here. Woo. Won a game on the play with basically my nut draw. That's what we need. I'm glad I left in 2 endings. I don't think I want more. I think the 4 plows plus the 2 endings can sufficiently control elves. And the rest of these cards don't really matter or change anything. I guess the one consideration is to fairy better on the draw than Jace just because it costs 3? Or does it not matter and both of those primarily function as just being blue cards and that's their only job? I don't think it matters, and I think Jace will win a game faster if I do get my back to basics in. This hand is unkeepable, doesn't do anything important in the matchup. Ooh, this one's close. I have the Surgical. I'm gonna keep this bottom Batter Skull and hope that I find a Wasteland before they have 2 Cloud Posts in play. Glimmer Post is fine. Probably have a map to go with it, would be my guess. Needle, okay. I have the ending for that. They're gonna Needle Wasteland. Yep, guaranteed. I'm gonna end their Needle. And then next turn, I get Draw Step plus Brainstorm to find a Wasteland, and then I can Surgical their Cloud Post if I find Wasteland. Okay. That's not any of that. It does cast Crop Rotation, though. There's the Elf. I can snap ending that next turn, presuming I find a land anywhere. That's certainly a land. I guess now the question is, do I just float Wasteland in play and let them know what I'm working with? Do I take this opportunity to deploy my Hawks? If they crop rotate, that could go bad for me. I think I'm just gonna fetch basic Island. I didn't really need to do that. I could have tapped it for a green. And I'm gonna play my Hawk. I think fetching's fine. No, it's probably better to leave a fetch land in play. I'm holding Brainstorm. Okay, should have tapped it for green. They didn't have the crop rotation in the end step. That's good. Another land that is not Cloud Post. That's all good news for me. I think I have to attack for 1, play Wasteland, and pass the turn. I don't think they're just gonna fetch directly into my Wasteland, but maybe they are gonna try to overpower it. I don't know, they only have 3 cards in hand left. I'll try to get something going here. Important to note, Squadron Hawk can shuffle your deck even if it doesn't actually search. Or even if you don't find anything, you still search. So this Brainstorm does have a shuffle with the Hawk. I also have a fetch land, but I also have the shuffle with the Hawk. I can force some action this turn by going Snapcaster Prismatic Ending on Elvish Reclaimer if you want to get a Cloud Post now or never. Carpet's pretty decent. I might have to snap ending the carpet instead of the Reclaimer, because if they just cast Primeval Titan, I lose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 mana right now. Yeah, if I had tapped this for green instead of fetched for it 2 turns ago, they would have 1 less mana right now. They floated 2 and then passed the turn. I like seeing that. Here come my birds. I'm going to tap Flooded Strand for green to cast Snapcaster Mage. Green, blue, Snapcaster. I think I am going to exile the carpet. They could have Endurance here and just counter the Snapcaster, or counter the trigger. Fizzle the trigger, I should say. It's not actually countering anything. Fetched for a basic, even though they have Yavimaya. Okay, are they going for Bog here? Because that's okay with me too. They are rotating. They rotated away their Yavimaya. I think Bog makes more sense. Because they don't know what I was targeting yet. Like, if they just assumed I was going after Reclaimer and they're getting a post right now, that's actually great for me. But I imagine... Oh, they got the post. Nice. Okay. I'm going to ending the carpet and then extract the post. Get rid of carpet. Wasteland Cloud Post, Surgical Cloud Post. And I have to do it now because if they untap, they'll be able to rotate for another one in response. Oh, we got the GGs in the chat. Did we cheese out with the cheese plan? Yeah, they said in the chat I should have got Bog. But okay, we did it. Cheese through one of the hardest matchups that there is with this sideboard plan. You got to find your angles where you can find them. Next round's coming. We're about halfway through the video, so let me just remind you that if you like this deck and you want to try it out, you can use the code BoshNRoll to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com, and you can play any deck anytime with cardhoarder.com loan account on Magic Online. These links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the play in round number 3, and this hand is not capable. It just doesn't do anything. This one doesn't do anything in the opposite direction. This one does a medium number of things, which is what I wanted the whole time. I think I'm going to ship the Wasteland and just hope that this isn't a Wasteland matchup, and I'm going to ship Jace, because Jace doesn't help me without lands, and the only alternative there would be bottoming a land. And I would rather make sure my mana's under me and draw to the Jace later than try to jam a turn 4 Jace or whatever, which is not a thing you can do in Legacy. Ragavan. There it is. This might be my first Legacy Ragavan sighting in a while. Okay, I can... Oh, Caracas just bounces this jerk. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I was about to say I can Prismatic Ending this, or I can Brainstorm trying to find a basic land, but I don't have to ending it. Caracas just answers it. If they Wasteland, then they won't have mana to dash it. And I don't need to worry about Force of Will on this Caracas activation, where I would have had to worry about it on the Prismatic Ending. And now they're set up to dash their Rag. I like a Brainstorm here. Ooh, this is kind of heavy, and not in the ways that I like. I'm going to put Jitte back into the deck, and a Stoneforge Mystic on top of it. Does that make sense? Play the land. So I could jam Stoneforge now, but if they have Daze, then they get to dash the Rag when I'm just covered in answers for Ragavan currently. I think that's a bad play. Uh-oh. Float, bounce a legend. That's not how this works. Well, now I've probably lost, because my whole hand is white, and so is the next thing I'm drawing, and the thing after that. They're actually going to get my Umezawa's Jitte. God, I hate Wasteland. Well, I love Wasteland. I think it's a healthy part of the format. I hate losing to it. The fact that this was specifically Caracas and not basic planes, it's bad. Though, if they hit me, they take my Umezawa's Jitte, they cast it. Teferi can bounce it at some point, pick it back up. And the Ragavan clearing the dead card, like I don't have to be Brainstorm locked here. I'm actually Brainstorm unlocked, thanks to this. And this thing's so juicy, I imagine they're gonna cast it. Unless they see the Teferi line. Okay, this is Rag still. This is not a Delver deck. Got it. That does change things quite a bit. Yes, I needed that pretty desperately. I could Prismatic Ending the Ragavan now, or I could plow it on their turn. 1, 2, 3. They could hardcast Force. It's possible that that's a thing that happens. If they have a second one and dash it, they could. I could also get them to commit mana to equipping it. Okay. I'm gonna pass on the plow and just hold. They didn't fall for that, not for a single second. I guess if they equip, then they don't get to make a construct either. So that was a pretty high cost equip that they were obviously not going to make. Backup Rag. That's why I didn't do it on my turn. Thing is a legend. This is a Daze deck. Stoneforge Mystic can put Batterskull in my hand and then die to everything. I think I have to just clear the Ragavan here. Yeah, these are the games where Daze is just really tiresome. They get to make a 3/3, which will become a 4/4, and then a 5/5, maybe even a 6/6 if they get Retrofitter Foundry. Another construct. They did get Retrofitter Foundry. So they can make a servo if they want to. The window to bounce Jitte is absolutely past. I'm just dying to these big creatures. I don't get to do cool card advantage stuff. I gotta find answers to these constructs, then I can start doing other things. I'm gonna shuffle that. I don't really need what it's offering right now. I try to get Batterskull into play, but their deck's full of removal. We haven't seen a plow yet. We haven't seen a stifle yet. We haven't seen a prismatic ending yet. We haven't needed to see them yet because we haven't done anything. So I'm at 14. I'm taking 6, 12, 13. Yeah, I'm actually just dead right now. On board, Deadzos. They make a servo at the end of turn. It costs them a treasure, but they get the servo, which can attack for 1. Then they make a servo. Maybe I was at 1, but I'm not winning that game. I can save us some time. We definitely have 2 eras of Magic clashing into each other here, and I am on the wrong side of it. The Ragstill deck is kind of the modern version of what this Squadron Hawk deck is trying to do, and it's kind of a lot better at it than we are. I think I need Cauldron for the cheese factor. Back to Basics is good against Saga decks. And the Ragstill deck usually only has 1 basic land in it. Either a island or a plains, depending on the build. I don't love Force of Will. I do like Flusterstorm. I probably have some number of Pyroblast in here, but their threats have such diverse colors and costs and everything. That's kind of the whole deck. Like, I'm not blowing anyone's mind by saying that. I think I have to cut the Jaces because they are a Pyroblast deck as well. Pyroblast, Daze, Wasteland, Stifle deck. Jace is probably not even going to get on the stack, and if it does, Pyroblast can beat it up. Even if it's in play for like a turn or 2, Pyroblast can still beat it up. I think Squadron Hawk's actually one of the best cards in this matchup. Don't think I want more Red Blast than the 1. It's because some of their things aren't red. So some of their things aren't instants and sorceries either. Yeah, I mean, the Standstill, the Murktide Regent, the True Name Nemesis. There's a lot of good stuff in that deck. God, what do I cut? I'm out of things to cut. Maybe I go a little lower on Plow, because Ragavan is the only thing that I really want to plow in that deck. Ending is pretty important. Teferi is good, but also a 3-drop blue card. Okay, I'm just gonna go like this. My threats aren't blue. For the most part, there's just Hull Breachers left for Red Blast to chew up. I don't know. I'm actually having a really hard time figuring out how to sideboard with the blue control decks against the Ragstill deck. It's just too good. I'm going to keep this, even though it's kind of medium. I wish this was a basic Plains instead of a Tundra. But this is where we are. Scalding Tarn. The Ragavan time. Yep, it's always Ragavan time. Okay, drawing a basic Plains was a relief. I will take that. At least I have Wasteland insurance if they do have the Daze or removal spell to start connecting with Rag. And my hand is full of threats. I want to start jamming them onto the stack. It's a relief that it was Force and not Daze. Alright. What's the bad news? Please just take a land. Alright, they took Wasteland, which is fine. Wasteland was not part of my plan here. Saga changes the math a little bit, but that still was not really the plan. I can ponder looking for an answer to Rag. I could Hull Breacher. I think I should ponder. This is a great spot to just Red Blast me into the Stratosphere. Yep. I might have to use this Snapcaster Mage to kill Ragavan. I could also end step Snapcaster and then Jete equip Connect all at once, and that clears the Construct and Ragavan. Yeah, I'm gonna do that rather than ambushing Ragavan. Okay, Flusterstorm doesn't counter Snapcaster Mage. That's lucky. Oh right, the second treasure does change things a bit here. Right, maybe I need to ponder. Alright, I'm off it. Snapcaster, target ponder. I could play around Daze, or I could play around Stifle. I don't think they have Daze, though. They pitched a real spell to Force of Will when they could have dazed me 2 turns ago. There is another Tundra in the deck. Just gotta make sure. Yeah, there are 2 of them. So now Snapcaster Mage is in play for a Ragavan, and Swords to Plowshares is also in my hand for a different threat. I am gonna fetch now. If they want to stifle me, I want them to spend a treasure to do it. And I'm gonna have to fetch on their turn anyway, because they could tutor up Pithing Needle and turn off my fetch land if I let that resolve. And Urza Saga is some shit. Really good card. I'm gonna go after a Construct and just hope that Snapcaster Mage holds the fort. If they have a removal spell and can continue connecting with Ragavan, they got me. Okay, looks like I'm getting a block here. They must have a second Rag in hand. I think that's the only thing that makes sense for that play. Either that, or they just don't want me to jam Jete onto that thing, which is also a reasonable decision. Okay, so now I gotta hope that they just cast Brainstorm and don't have an answer to Hull Breacher. Unfortunately, they can just attack for 5 a bunch of times, and then 6, and then 7, and it's actually more than that because the servos get to attack too. Arctide Regent, come on. This deck doesn't have a good sweeper in it. Like, I basically have Engineered Explosives, but there's no Terminus, no Supreme Verdict. Needed Swords to Plowshares right there, pretty bad. I can equip Jete to my Hull Breacher attack and trade with Murktide Regent, or gain 4 life, or a giant truck just drove by my house. Sorry for that background noise. But I can't win this game now. Like there's just no... I'm dead, basically on board. Jete can't answer even one of these things very well, much less more than one. Yeah, that was tough. That was definitely, like I said, that was 2017 crashing into 2021 in a way that was pretty embarrassing, honestly. Youch. On to the next round. I'm on the play in the 4th round with a very good looking hand. I'm going to keep it. And Brainstorm lands some stuff to do. Hell yeah. There is no Force of Will or Swords to Plowshares in this hand. Like, this is a very proactive hand. But Brainstorm can change everything if it has to. And I'm kind of hoping it does. Like, I would like to turn this Batterskull into a Plow or something different. And I probably will next turn. Ooh, a Lorwyn Island. Good taste. Oh, it's Merfolk. They're on brand here. They can have that. I have 4 Prismatic Endings in my deck that I'm gonna give some faith to rather than just spewing off Brainstorm hoping to find some, like Force of Will and just million for 1 myself. No thanks. Batterskull can go into the deck, and one of these Hawks can, and I will pass the turn like this. They are going to get their Vial for a turn. Engineered Explosives will be pretty good for this matchup out of the board. The 8 point-and-click removal spells plus 2 Snapcaster Mages should also be pretty good against this deck. Silvergill Adept showing me Master of the Pearl Trident. Hull Breacher's just a turn too slow. Also worth noting, Hull Breacher is a merfolk. Lord of Atlantis gives it +1/+1 and Island Walk, in case that ends up mattering. Now I'm going to fetch Tundra here. I just want to make sure my colors are on. And merfolk usually doesn't play Wasteland anymore. That's kind of old technology. Which I'm probably going to end up getting blown out because I said that out loud. But it is still true, whether my opponent is on it or not. You get the other Tundra with this. I can still get a basic Island or Plains with the other fetch land in my hand. And then Stoneforge Mystic. Let's do the thing. Try to find Jitte and connect with it. Merfolk doesn't really play Daze anymore either. Got the Jitte. Let's go. We know about Master of the Pearl Trident, and Vial's about to be on 2. They didn't Vial in a 1-drop, that's good, that saves me some damage. But it also means their hand is full of 2-drops, which is less good. They could just activate Vial, attack for 1,000,000. Okay, this is a Wasteland build. Good to know. So they activate Vial, they can attack for 6 unblockable right now. Really need to find a Swords to Plowshares or Prismatic Ending to go with the Snapcaster Mage. Really, if I can just control their lords, we get a whole lot of agency in this game. I only play 8 of that effect. It's okay. Alright, Squadron Hawk. I've seen enough of you. I can bounce the Master. I think bouncing Adept is better, though. I could also snap Brainstorm, but I don't think that does anything. I think I needed to Fairy and bounce Adept. They get to draw a new card, but the Master doesn't give itself Island Walk. That is a blockable and interact with a bull creature in the meantime. Oh wow. Wasteland and Daze. Everything I know about Merfolk is a lie. They're just playing classic Ancient Times Merfolk. Is there any reason to keep playing here? Guess I'm not literally dead. I could still draw Swords to Plowshares and stuff. Alright, Wasteland and Daze in this deck. Both of which not in stock Merfolk in 2021, but still powerful cards, obviously, especially when you're not expecting them. After board, I get 3 Blue Blasts to add to my point-and-click removal suite, which I'm 16 cards into my deck, including 2 Brainstorms, so I've seen 20 cards out of my deck, and none of them were Swords to Plowshares or Prismatic Ending, cards that I play 8 of. Yeesh. Don't think this game's winnable. I think I have to Snapcaster Brainstorm, hope they have literally nothing, and Brainstorm has to hit land and plow. They left 2 mana up, which I should probably be suspicious of. They could have attacked me for 3 and just didn't. They could hard cast Daze here. There's a lot of stuff they could do. Oh, I should have been more specific. I found a plow and a land. We're done. This matchup is mine to lose. Just like I keep saying, we're playing 2017. Our opponent's playing 2013. So there should be some action here. Stoneforge Mystic and Snapcaster Mage were both integral in removing Merfolk's playability from the top tier of Legacy. Just the Plow Snap Plow line and Stoneforge Mystic being able to find Umezawa's Jitte reliably, those were both huge historical factors in the decline of Merfolk, which was, believe it or not, a tier 1 deck for a long time in Legacy. I don't think I want my Force of Wills. They don't have spells I need to counter, they have creatures I need to remove, and I'm bringing in 3 Red Blasts. Containment Priest is for the Vial. Hawk's good. I don't love Hull Breacher. In having an unblockable threat of my own is kind of fun, but I like Teferi, I think, more. That's 11 point-and-click removal spells, 2 Snapcaster Mages to recycle them. Umezawa's Jitte's in the game. Is Cauldron better than Batterskull? And I think the answer is no. Gotta watch out for Daze, watch out for Wasteland. Let's do this thing. Okay, I have a wastable land, no removal spells. I'm gonna mulligan this. Here we go. I'm gonna keep this bottom one of the Wastelands. I actually do like Wasteland for Mutavault and potentially Cavern of Souls. I'm gonna lead on Plains just in case they have something I want to remove on turn 1. I probably don't, but it doesn't hurt to do that. I don't want to jam my Stoneforge Mystic into a Daze or Spell Snare. I'm just going back into my mind of what people were playing in 2012, 2013, and Spell Snare is certainly on the list. An Adept revealing Adept. I'm going to sit on my removal spells. I'm going to point them at Lords when that becomes relevant. Stoneforge Mystic, playing around Daze. They're tapped out of Spell Snare. They have to Force of Will this if they want it gone. I'm going to look for Batterskull. As good as Jitte is against the tribal deck, the 4/4 lifelink this early is also pretty good. They're probably going to offer a trade here that I'm not going to take. I want them to have to cast Dismember if they want to remove this thing. There's a Mutavault. That's a target for Wasteland. Probably play their second Adept here. Revealing Lord of Atlantis. Okay, good to know. Another Wasteland. Not bad. Gonna wipe out their Mutavault right now before they can do anything else with it. I am representing this Batterskull. If they cast Lord of Atlantis, they get to attack for 6. Then I get to attack back for 4 and plow their Lord. Another white source would be a pretty good draw, so I could double spell. Or the red source would be great. Just another non-basic island, non-wasteland mana source. Anyone will do. Cavern, that's another target for Wasteland, I'll take it. Weird. What is this, Brazen Borrower? They could have put their Lord into play, and just didn't. And with Cavern protection, so they must have some answer to Batterskull. Or they're just planning on double blocking it? I don't know. I'm firing off my Wasteland though. This is a Trickster. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So they can tap my Batterskull for the turn. It becomes a 4/4 not Vigilance, not Lifelink. And I could load up the Squadron Hawk. If I do that, I take 3, 6, 9 in combat. But I'm at least rolled up for the future. No, I'm going to leave up my Swords to Plowshares. Only having one white source is kind of unfortunate right now. So if they cast their Lord of Atlantis, I want to shoot a plow at it. And if it gets answered, I can also trade with a Silvergill Adept. If they offer that trade, I'm taking it, by the way. Batterskull is in play. Stoneforge has done its job. Getting a trade in combat is not a bad place for that right now. I am going to plow in the end step. Just keeping them off a critical mass of merfolk is important to me. Like, the Lord only really matters if they're super wide when it arrives. And I can't just hold up mana every turn cycle and never do anything. Brazen Bar. Hurkyl's Recall, that's fun. Okay. Wish I had a red source. All Breacher. Are you good? I think Squadron Hawk's better. Yeah, this is unfortunate. I'm just so loaded up with answers to their whole deck, and it's not happening for me. Fistful of Hawks. No land drop. I have 2 answers to their Lord of Atlantis, one of which requires a red source to get online. There's the Lord. There's Mutavault. I take 6 right now. Come on, deck. Red source off the top. Show it to me. Okay. We drew a red source. I don't think they've seen red mana yet, so I can Prismatic Ending the Lord now. And it's gone. I'm just going to leave this Hawk in play to trade with Silvergill Adept if they attack with it. Rename Nemesis. Alright, well, I have to Red Blast that on the stack. Once it's in play, I am cold to it. Ice cold. Yeah, so I talked about Stoneforge Mystic and Snapcaster Mage and their roles in removing merfolk from the format. True Name Nemesis removed Stoneblade from the format. Looks like they have double days though. Jeez. Alright, True Name Nemesis is in play with me at 7. Can make an attack with Mutavault this turn. Actually have a good attack to put me to 5, take a turn off the clock. Okay. They gave me the trade on Adept, which I'm not sure I would do. I gotta draw a land for the Batterskull right now. And I need them to have nothing. 2 of the cards in their hand are islands for days. Ponder. Caracas, Prismatic Ending, Tundra. I don't think... Is there even an out to True Name Nemesis? Oh yeah, it's Engineered Explosives. So I need to shuffle this. Like, this was the turn that I needed to draw lands, and I just didn't. Starting next turn, it'll be too late to draw any cards, or to gain any life, because I'll already be dead. And there's no way to get this Batterskull into play right now. I need to draw Umezawa's Jitte and cast and equip it. They only have one, or now two unknown cards in their hand. They have 2 islands, 2 mystery cards. If they have Lord, we're just dead. Okay. Sure. Okay. I mean, we lost to Mana Trouble. I think this matchup's probably good, though the lack of sweepers in this deck is starting to bug me a little. Like, I think just a Supreme Verdict in the sideboard would go a long way. Yeah, just looking at this sideboard, there's just so many spot removal spells and no way to really catch up when you're truly behind on a board. Hullbreacher's been pretty underwhelming this whole time. You know, it's just a 3-drop that's hard to find a spot for. Hullbreacher's been on my watch list in Banned for a while. Like, I go back and forth between 0 and 1 copies, and just the stock of this card is super low. I like having one of them in Banned to just, like, surprise you played around Endurance and now you're getting got by Hullbreacher, but this, it's just like an inefficient threat with a small body and no evasion in the deck that is trying to do equipment stuff. So I have some problems with that. I want some Supreme Verdict somewhere in this 75. Final round's coming. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'm going to keep this hand. It's got Force and Plow and some stuff to do, which is the most we can expect out of this deck. A Windswept Heath. Okay. I'm going to play the Scalding Tarn because I don't want to run Tundra out there against what is likely to be a Wasteland deck. But if they fetch Dryad Arbor in the end step here, I'm definitely just plowing it. Basic Plains, huh? Interesting. Is this just Miracles? Prismatic Vista basically obsoleted Windswept Heath in Miracles, so maybe this is Enchantress? Okay, I can force this, or I can cast Hullbreacher. I make my second land drop, they draw a bunch of cards, then I get my third land drop. I think I'm going to try to check this with Hullbreacher. You can tell me I'm crazy for that later. There could be a green-white depths, I guess. That seems likely. Squadron Hawk's pretty good against Merit Lage. See what comes out here. Alright, Stoneforge Mystic. I think I would rather Brainstorm. Or... because, like, I just committed to this Hullbreacher thing. I guess I can Brainstorm... if I cast Mystic this turn, I can Brainstorm next turn looking for a Prismatic Ending, which also answers Sylvan Library. Really don't want to get Wasteland out of this game, but I think I can't play around that. I'm just going to get the second Tundra, get everything set up, and I'm going for Stoneforge Mystic. This is at least a way to pressure their life total meaningfully if they try to just go nuts with their Sylvan Library. It's also card advantage. If they answer my Stoneforge Mystic, Batterskull's an easy card to put back with Brainstorm. I had the Force of Will for Sylvan Library. Like, we all saw that, and we'll see how regrettable that line was. I just really hate when I'm playing Blue Control and Legacy to ever 2-for-1 something that I could answer on 1-for-1 or 0-for-1 basis. They paid the max. Going straight to 10 life to do it. They are banned. Okay. Alright, sure. Now Hullbreacher's starting to look better. Yeah, they tricked me with the Windswept Heath fetching for basic plains. I just put them on green-white depths. Yeah, I'm not going to fight over that. But they are just banned. Ponder. I'm going to Brainstorm. There's a lot of stuff I can get rid of here. I found the third land, that's a relief. Get rid of Batterskull. And probably Jace. Snapcaster Mage, what do you do here? Snapcaster's not great right now. I'm going to get a basic island and cast Ponder. I just want to make sure I'm hitting my land drops from here. Land drops locked in. I have a Plow for this Uro if it comes back through. Sylvan Library is getting a second trigger, which was not part of the plan. My plan was to give them one trigger with it and then lock it out, but it's starting to stack up over there. They only kept one card this time, though. That's good news. Ship in the turn. I should probably Hull Breacher. I'm gonna pass the turn. Oh, please cast Brainstorm. Yes, yes, yes. God, I hope this works. I have Force of Will to back this up. They have 4 cards in hand. Let's see how deep we can go. Dress down. Who gave you this technology? I'm going to force pitching a Ponder on Dress Down. In the Dress Down, I could let that resolve. Their Brainstorm resolves, and then Breacher's still in play to shut down Sylvan Library. Actually, it's not, because it's X in the end step. Nope, this was a good force. Dress Down's so good. I like their deck, though. It's a nice Bant control deck. Curses. They get to do everything they want, and Uro comes back. That was my big play of the game. Though the coast is kind of clear for Jace to show up here. They can plow Uro. Like, they get to do so much this turn. They can library pretty fearlessly for at least 1 card. And then Uro comes back to gain that life back. They did not shuffle their Brainstorm, though. That's interesting. Their cards were just already good. Now we get the fetch. There comes Uro, I'm sure. At least I hope so. I hope it's Uro and not Jace. Uro's in play. I'm going to plow it in response to its triggers. I want them to have fewer answers to this plow. They get to gain a gazillion life, which I don't love with the Sylvan Library that I could have countered. Uro gets a trigger. It did put a land in. 4 cards in their hand. Ace with force backup. Yep. Not getting better than that. They're fetching in response. They can't cast Kawada with his basic planes. They can Brainstorm with a basic island, though. I suspect they're digging for Force of Will. And they didn't fetch Volcanic Island with that land when, like, my current build of Bant has a Volcanic Island in it to splash the Prismatic Ending up to 4 for Jace. It doesn't look like they're doing that. Okay, if anything can keep up with Sylvan Library, it's Jace. Let's hope that that's actually true. Right, they had land go. That's good news for me. I think I should lead on to Fairy to make sure no nonsense is coming my way. Like Hull Breacher, for example, which is popular in the Bant decks. If they hardcast Force, then they don't have Hull Breacher. Waddle's fine. Shark Typhoon's pretty scary here. I just really don't want to get my hulls breached. Endurance. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to spend Force of Wills on these things. I can just bounce the Endurance with Teferi. Okay, so put Endurance back in your hand. That draws a card. Brainstorm. If I find a land, I get to squat up. Okay, cool. Put one of the Hawks back, one of the Batter Skulls back. And then this Hawk can get the Hawk I just put back. And now we're in the Planeswalker setup. I can do the Jace Squadron Hawk thing where I just draw multiple extra cards a turn. Ancestral Recall every turn. They haven't played a removal spell yet this game, so there's a good chance they can kill my Hawk, pick off Teferi, and then we're back to playing a normal game. Though I do think that letting Teferi go is fine. Just take my 4-for-1 off the Swords to Plowshares on Squadron Hawk. Teferi also already drew a card. They did Endurance themselves, which is interesting. They are, rather than be set up for a future Uro, they're planning for a game that goes to decking, which I guess is possible. I don't think it's likely in this particular matchup, but it is something that you should be considering with Bant. Okay, I'm going to Brainstorm just right away because I have Force of Will and Swords to Plowshares for any potential Hull Breacher shenanigans. I'll do my draw 2 cards trick. Do I even want to draw 2 cards here? I have 7 in hand. This takes me up to 9. Do I just put 1 in for a shuffle next turn? Okay, I'm going to put 1 in my hand just to avoid having to go to discard. Play Stoneforge Mystic. Can dig up the Batter Skull again. And I think I actually am just going to discard one of these 3 Force of Wills. That's a lot of that card for this matchup. Ooh, maybe I'll be able to cast Swords to Plowshares in the end step. But Endurance is in play. I will plow the Endurance. Now I don't have to go to discard. Right, they tucked themselves again. Go tuck yourself. Endurance. They only kept one card off the library. Now they're tapping mana. Blue and white. This fairy? What do you got? Prismatic Ending on that. Sure. It's already a 2-for-1. We take those all the time. I'm not giving them anything back with that Force of Will. Jace is doing his job here. Hull Breacher, yes. Brainstorm. Put back the Batterskull, and do I want to put back Caracas or land? I'll put back the land because I can cast the Hawk and get a shuffle that way. And Caracas at least acknowledges Uro as a possibility, or by possibility I mean inevitability. Pick up the last Squadron Hawk. There's 8 cards in my hand right now. I think I'll just go to my end step. Or I could play the last Hawk. That's probably fine. Leaving up Hardcast Force is pretty appealing, but I don't really want a Hardcast Force. I want to cast Hull Breacher, so nah, here's my last bird. Let's just keep Jace in play. I'm giving them a chance to end step Coatl. Do I want a Hull Breacher now before their library triggers, or wait until they do more stuff? I'm going now. We're on their turn. It's their mana that they have to spend. I have triple Force in my hand with Jace to reload. The board is pretty locked up. Here's Hull Breacher. Hardcast Force, that would make some sense. I'm gonna force pitching Ponder, because I think between the Snapcaster Mages and the Jace card selection isn't what I need right now. I think I have to be kind of at the tempo deck right now and just live on these triple forces. Oh wow, they activated library. You're supposed to decline that, fella. Awkward. Alright, and we got a Hull Breacher Shame concede. That's alright. Okay, we're playing against Bant. I like Surgical for Uro. I think I like Kaldra just as a way to get the game over with. They can Swords to Plowshare it, but I have Teferi that can pick it back up, and eventually I will have 7 mana in this matchup. Don't like Bruce Silence back to basics. There's a good chance that I can play a better back to basics game than they can, but at the same time, it's too polarizing. Like either it'll be great or it'll be terrible. There's not much space in between, and I do have the Wastelands to pressure them on their mana base already, so I'm not super interested in that plan. Gonna go Forces all the way out. Do like the Hull Breacher. I think I can go a little thinner on Plow. The Hawks were great. Does Kaldra just replace Batterskull in the main deck, or do I play both? And I think Kaldra just replaces Batterskull, because the life gain's not super important, but the pickup and redeploy in the control matchups is kind of important. But I still think I like Kaldra better. And what is the last thing to do? It could be a Stoneforge Mystic. I did this once before in the league where this game is going to go along and they have so much removal that I'm unlikely to cheese them out anyway. I think the Planeswalkers, like Jace won me that last game, and I think that that's still going to be most likely true. This is what I'm doing. Just one Surgical, because it's not like Reanimator where they're going to have something I need to extract every turn all the time. It's just like at some point they'll find an Uro and I want to make sure they're all gone. This hand is fine. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to mulligan very many hands in blue-white mirrors. As long as they can just make the first 2 or 3 land drops, it basically doesn't matter what else is in the hand, because the raw number of cards is going to be the determining factor in these matchups. It's not about like tempo or whatever early exchanges. It's about spending a long time getting your exchanges, picking your spots, sculpting your hand, picking up 2-for-1s where you can, and eventually the dust will settle on turn 18 to 20. For example, if they go for a Brainstorm right now, I'm not going to Red Blast it, because this game is going to take a long time, and there's no reason to Red Blast an early cantrip when I have no plan to clock them, no plan to get this game over with faster. Like, I want to save this for a Teferi, a Jace, a Giant Shark token, something like that, a Hull Breacher, an Uro. So Brainstorm, land, go out of them. And now I'm going to play my Stoneforge Mystic with Red Blast Protection. Ooh, another one. And I am going to fetch basics in case they're on back to basics, but I don't know why they would bring that in. I'm just not going to get cheesed out on it in case they did. Stoneforge Mystic is going to find Cauldra. Stoneforge Mystic resolves. Jam Cauldra right in the hand. Let them know that this is a real threat that you need to respect. If this was Batterskull or Jitte, they could take their time, do this, do that, whatever, deal with it in time. But Cauldra is like a, you have 4 turns to figure this out kind of thing. 1 turn to answer the Mystic. If they Prismatic Ending here, that's fine. I'm already up a card. This is what I'm talking about of getting your 2-for-1s. Boom, Cauldra still in my hand. And I have 1 more card in my hand and they have 1 less. They also had to extend into Wasteland and they missed a land drop here. If you all didn't see that happen, it definitely just did. Wasteland, and I'm not going to Brainstorm the Cauldra back into the deck to get it again. I'll just get the Jitte and continue leaving up Red Blast. That was a dirty Wasteland. Did they see a Wasteland in game 1? Probably. We played a long game, but that was pretty nasty. They're on double island. That was their green source and their white source. Now I get to do my favorite thing, which is do something they weren't expecting that messes up the plan that they planned for. They might have just been holding up Swords to Plowshares, ready to answer the Cauldra. Right. I mean, this is worth a Red Blast to me every day of the week. That's still a 2-for-1. They pitched Stress down to do that. Hull Breacher. Okay, that card resolves. Force of Will. It's countered. Bounce your Hull Breacher. I get to attack for 1 here. And now I know my Hull Breacher is ready to... It's going to be uncontested when it arrives because of Teferi. Like, they can main phase one of their own. I can just cast Jitte right now, equip it to Stoneforge Mystic, and clear their thing. I think that makes a lot of sense. What's the alternative? I could just put Cauldra into play, represent my own Hull Breacher. No, I'm just going to clear the Hull Breacher. That's not a card I want to play against. This kind of strands Cauldra in my hand, but I have 6 mana already. I'll just cast it pretty soon. Yeah, they saw where that was going. Okay, we salvaged the 2 and 3. We did get half our money back. Looking back at this league, it definitely felt like we were playing a weaker format than the current Legacy metagame allows for. There was definitely a mistake in round 1. There was some unfortunate variance against the Merfolk deck, where we just drew 0 of our 11 point-and-click removal spells against the creature deck. So some weird stuff happened in this league, but in general, just choosing not to play with Endurance, Sylvan Library, Urza Saga, Ragavan, all of those things, it seems like a choice based on pride or nostalgia more than actually thinking this deck is great. I like a lot of the things that about this deck. Obviously, like if you watch my channel, you know that the blue-white X shell is my bread and butter. I love that there are 7 basic lands in this deck. I love Brainstorm, love Ponder, love Jace, love Snapcaster Mage. But I just think that all of those cards can be in a variety of more powerful shells, and you'd be better served exploring any of them. If you want to see those other decks, if you're not caught up on all my videos, which I know I release a lot of them of, check out the Bant Control decks that I've released. Check out the various flavors of Sharkstill that I've released. I have a lot of Blue-White X control decks on this channel, and I would honestly pick any one of them over this one. So, sorry to Marcus Ewald at Truckus. I would like to respond. This is a cool thing. I think the Squadron Hawk's dope. The game where we actually went off with Jason Hawk was just insane. But I think that spending all that mana playing these weird cards to get an effect that is functionally Sylvan Library, like you could just put Sylvan Library in your deck instead. So, sorry to say it, but I didn't love this deck as far as blue-white shells go. If you insist on playing this deck, though, I would put some Supreme Verdicts in the list. Probably change the number of anti-combo cards. I kind of stacked up a lot against the anti-combo. Like, the original list I was sent only had one priest. It had 0 Deafening Silence, but I added those cards. I think they're important. Maybe one of the engineered explosives can be a Supreme Verdict. I just want a real sweeper somewhere in this list. One of the appeals to blue-white to me is that it's just so good at beating creatures. And the creatures in this format right now are better than Squadron Hawk. So just the planning to beat creatures by having more shitty creatures is not what Legacy is about right now. And I would want a Supreme Verdict somewhere. Maybe even 2. Those are my thoughts. Thank you, King of the Depths, for asking me to play this deck. Thank you, Truckus, for designing it. I'm glad someone is out there trying new things, even if they aren't always the best things. The world needs heroes, whether we deserve it or not. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, YouTube memberships and Patreon are there. If you want to buy an Island Ponder Keep shirt, check out the link to the merch store. All that stuff is there. Remember to shop for cards with my TCG Player affiliate link. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.